I think overall, I have a tough time against assassin team comps playing Taliyah
Oh,
because
for sure.
there isn't much I can do because she has no dash, obviously.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just going to be one of the things you have to deal with if you're OTPing Taliyah. There's just some
Yeah,
matchups that are not fun. Echo, Blue Cane, Hecarim, right? Probably Kha'Zix after level 6, they're just not easy to deal with.
I
Um,
don't even want to talk about Blue King because he can be 0-10, you're 12-1
and he
or
just
something like
one-shots you,
that.
right?
Yeah, late game, yeah, you're just dead.
It's fucking
Even if
disgusting, especially if he gets like Edge of Night or something and you can't even
right.
like hit your stuff on him. It's just a sad matchup. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Are you starting bot side or just guarding bot? I definitely hop out to guard somewhere level 1.
Yeah, I guard out this area just because I don't trust my teammates to push up forward, so I don't push up forward either.
Mhm.
In any case, if they have that pike to throw out that hook, I'd rather be in the back a little bit than risk it because no one walks through this bush where I'm at.
Yeah, they all kind of walk past it and you can just back off right away. I think
Yeah,
one caveat is I'd be a little bit careful of potentially topside invades. If Are you starting bot side here or starting topside?
I believe it was bot side.
Yeah, okay, so since you see them all here, this is fine. They're probably not going to invade your topside, it's too late. But if you're versus
Yeah.
like typical topside invaders, like I don't know, Olaf, Kane, I'd probably just run out to here, drop a quick ward before leaving.
Okay.
Just in case.
I are you talking about like level one?
Yeah.
Okay.
The guys who sometimes start on your Raptors or red.
I think one in this elo, it's like 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 games that they actually invade topside. I don't run into it too much. The only time I run into it is if I'm clearing blue-gromp and then I try to go to red.
Mm-hmm.
If they have a fast clearing jungler, I do get scared that I'm gonna get
Like
invaded.
level 2 invaded, like a red to
Yeah.
red, something like that.
Right, right.
Yeah. Oh, can you, what path did you do this game? You start blue, is this just like a...
Yeah, I want to say I go blue. I usually go blue-gromp into red,
And then into a gank?
and then either gang top or go to gromp.
You, you mean their Gromp or...
Or not gromp. I apologize. Yeah, Krugs.
Okay, is that your usual level 1 pathing logic? Just always blue, Gromp, red, and then gank or Krugs?
Generally, yeah. I try to put down a ward in river or go to birds and then go to mid, just depending on how the top side looks and how the mid side looks.
Okay, I would, if I were you, I would learn a few more Taliyah paths than just that. We can talk about it in a little bit. I think that's not it's not a bad path per se, but because this champion has to get a little bit of good stuff done early, you want to be a bit more flexible with your early pathing. I think there's like 3 or 4 Taliyah paths that I would recommend knowing. So this is the path that you did, right? You said you went blue, Gromp, red, and then you either gank or you come to Krugs, right?
Right.
And then probably you come up to Scuttle afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a viable path. It's fine. I'd note that it only takes 4 camps, whereas a lot of other Taliyah paths, if there's no gank, they can take 5 camps. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. The good thing about this path is it hovers topside right after your 3 camp, right?
Right.
So you're proximal to topside. So if you're versus a jungler that's likely to do like a 3 camp into top, so let's say something like Elise is likely to do red-blue-gromp into top, right? So you're proximal
Right.
and you can kind of counter gank at this timer. So that's the advantage of this path. So it's not a bad path, but it's conditional, right? If they're not coming, if you're not versus a level 3 ganker, then it may be better to go for a path that takes more camps because Krugs takes a little while. So some other paths that I would consider are red, Krugs, Raptors. This is pretty common as an opener. And then now you have the option of if there's a gank mid, you can come out here, and if not, you proceed to blue side, right? And just take your blue or something like that into Scuttle. This is a very common Taliyah opener. Where you would consider using this is if you're versus, say, a Kayn, an Udi or something, and you want to play towards bot side, right? So you want to path, obviously this is flipped, right? If you're on this side of you're on this side of the map, but if you want to play towards your blue side jungle, and you don't want to give up your Krugs and Raptors into a champion that might invade it. So let's say Udyr, Kayn, these guys tend to full clear into Scuttle and then check your jungle, right? Pretty common opener. So red Krugs Raptors before heading blue side will take your Krugs and Raptors off the map, which is quite favorable, right? This path, I think you do need to practice it a bit, otherwise you'll be a bit unhealthy from the Raptors clear. But this is a very, very common Taliyah path. After Raptors, if there's a gank mid, you just come out and gank it, and then head to scuttle or blue. If there's nothing, then you just head to your blue side. Okay. Another very common path would be blue-gromp wolves, Raptors into red, and just 5 camp out into river. I think this finishes a little bit under 315. You should reach scuttle on spawn. This is pretty similar to the path that you're doing, except it doesn't rush level 3 off the red. So this is explicitly a farm path, right? This is just to get 5 camps before heading into scuttle.
I used to do that path. I would always run into the issue of
maybe getting invaded here.
Getting invaded, using my smites, and not being prepared for the scuttle. Like, I wouldn't have a smite for the scuttle, and I always end up having it taken or mid priorities taken. So I feel like I go to the scuttle without priority, without checking my map. Pretty much, it ends up being my fault at that end. But
okay, yeah, I tentatively agree with that. This is the path that I would probably run least often on Taliyah, just because I feel like you tend to get chunked a little bit on the red side doing this. My Taliyah clear is not fantastic, so it's like I tentatively agree. I know some Taliyah players really like this path. I know Schönfire likes this path a lot, but it's just the path I'd keep in mind. But if you like really don't like it for specific reasons, that's fine.
Yeah.
The last Taliyah path that's probably the most commonly run is just red, blue into Gromp. And then if there's level 3 gank potential, you immediately break off, right? And if not, you just reverse clear over to your wolves. And then if you want to, depending on which scuttle you want to go to, you either come over to Raptors and into this scuttle, or after wolves, you just come out maybe pressure lane into this scuttle, right?
Okay.
So red-blue-gromp into either gank or reverse clear. So this is probably the most common Taliyah opener, and given your game state, this is probably the one I would have chosen. You don't have a lot of great setup from your bot lane, but the problem is their bot lane is insanely snowbally, right? Draven, Pike, they're likely to go in, and if they snowball, it's pretty fucked with your comp, right? You don't have a lot that can control Draven, and if Pike is a nightmare for Taliyah if he gets ahead.
Right. That is a damn fact.
Yeah. So I think likely what I would have opened with here is Red-blue-gromp, and then check if you can level 3 gank, if there's some potential to do that, and if not, you can reverse over to like Wolves, Raptors into Scuttle, something like that.
Okay. If I run into the issue of starting red side and the laner doesn't want to, the top laner doesn't want to help leash, would you save smite after red, or would you smite red?
Oh, that doesn't matter. I mean, you can, like, in that path, it depends on your Q damage timer. I'd have to try it out. I can head into practice store and try it out. But I think for sure all of these camps finish by 315 or under leashless with 1 smite remaining. So none of these paths should have trouble arriving at scuttle. Let me check your clear real quick. Assuming you're doing the clear properly. Taliyah's clear is definitely a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
So let me see if you have any issues with that. I'm expecting yours will be decent since you're an OTP. But if need be, I can head into practice tour and demo real quick along those paths. Okay, generally I'd open with auto into Q. You're tanking because Skarner's melee, that's fine.
Yeah, I didn't want him to be like,
Okay. This is fine, auto. Right. Ooh, you take W level 2, interesting. Most Taliyah players will opt for the E level, level 2. It's a bit more damage while clearing. It's not a huge deal though if you really like W.
I've actually been experimenting with that. Last season I started with E, and then starting this season I started with E as well, but I figured might as well try out something different just to see how it feels. Okay,
your clear is very sloppy so far. I think you're already slower than the leashless tempo, even though you had a bot leash. I'll head into practice tool after this to kind of demo. Okay.
And I missed a Q on that too.
Oh, it happens. So small mistakes happen sometimes. The main thing I'm worried about is your patience management down there. You lost a lot of time in terms of kiting over to red. This is solid so far. Okay. Yeah, so for now, I'm just looking purely at the clear. Udyr started bot side, I think, so he's most likely just full clearing. This is one of the reasons why I said I don't know if this is the right path to take here, because this leaves you proximal to only top lane, but it's pretty unlikely for an Udyr to actually be level 3 ganking top. Udyrs will generally be full clearing, like Udyrs, Evelynns, those kinds of champions. They usually won't be level 3 ganking. Now, that's not necessarily true, especially in lower ELO brackets where you can't like properly predict enemy jungle pathing, because sometimes they take weird paths. So if your idea was that Heimer's going to be pushing up, maybe Udyr's going to come gank him, I want to be proximal and keep him safe, then this is okay. I would note that looking at this timer, I think you could have just killed bot here if you went Red-blue-gromp, because it looks like, as expected, Draven and Pyke are going in on your bot lane. Your bot lane's dropping real low. Oh, are they dead?
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's a bit unfortunate, because I think that was something you could actually predict in your pathing if you were more comfortable with flexing into different paths. Because you're on Krugs right now. If you went Red-blue-gromp, you'd be like in River Bush right now. You could just come clean up with a double kill potentially, right? Or you could have even prevented one or two of these stats if you were there. So because there's like almost zero chance of ganking for the Heimer because he's shoving in, and there's almost zero chance he's going to get level 3 ganked because you're an Udyr versus an Udyr, I think the Red-blue-gromp pathing into potentially pressuring bot would have placed you proximal to the more important lanes at the right time, right? Because this is going to be tough now. Your team has a tough time dealing with the Fed Draven hike. Let's see what timer you finish this at. Okay.
It's very atrocious, I know.
It's a bit tough. Okay. 316, 318. So you're into river 325. Let's see where you are. Okay, so you're actually I think almost 15 to 20 seconds too slow on these 4 camps. Because if I recall correctly, even leashless, Taliyah can be on this crab by 315. Even with no leash after this path. And you're 10 seconds off with a bot lane leash, which translates to maybe 15, 20 seconds off. So let me hop in the practice tool real quick and see if I can demo this for you. Okay, I'm gonna tank a little bit at the start to represent you tanking for Skarner. Normally you'd start a bit far back with range. I'm gonna tank a couple hits to kind of represent it.
My journey is not yet at an end.
Right, so you can be kiting out here right away. Should be no problems. I feel like I should be full health right now, but I kind of took an extra hit too.
I must finish my task.
Up into here.
Without tradition is a flock without a shepherd.
I'll mess that up a little bit. It's fine.
Hard work polishes the roughest stones.
Oh fuck, I think I missed one. That's fine.
That's all good.
Okay, so you have 1 smite left, 315, you're on crab, right, as it spawns.
Okay.
So right now you said you came in here at 320, you came in at 325 with a leash. So that's a big problem, right? Because feasibly, because Udyr pathed. Okay, so I see Udyr here, he pathed bot to top. Oh, for some reason he doesn't have all the camps cleared, so maybe he fucked his clear up too. But I think you should already be done with this crab. By the time he gets here, this shouldn't even be a contest.
Okay.
Generally speaking, low, mid, low, junglers won't be clearing properly. They won't be reaching on time. So if you are, oftentimes you can get away even without contesting it, right? Because this was without a leash. I was here by 3:15, right? So if you imagine with a leash, I'm probably here 3:10, a little bit earlier, and I can even prep for it. I can maybe toss a ward down, whatever, hit this, see if I can maybe even push him off gromp, and then I'll be right here for this. So it looks like this is a contest that shouldn't even happen if you're clearing properly. So I'd consider hopping in there and practicing that. So on 2 levels, I think your clear has some issues right now. Number 1, I don't think you picked the proper path for this game. I think it's an okay path, but I think for this situation, there would have been Red-blue-gromp might have been better. And number 2, given that you chose this clear, it wasn't executed too properly. Let me see. So I think E level 2, if you're just clearing, is... I know some Taliyah players go W, but E is just more damage because of the repeat. It's not a big deal though. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, it's fine up to here, given that you take W. At this point, I'd be running over here. Q. And then this is where it went wrong. Did you see how in my clear, because we're both smiting it, I just started kiting it this way? Because it's gonna die to the smite. But you kited it this way first, then ran back into it.
I don't know if I would say it would have been a misclick if I did it once, but I walked back, like I clicked back 3 or 4 times, so that was definitely a mistake for sure.
So you saw you finished the camp here, I finished it about here, right? So let's see how much walking that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's about already 4 seconds of loss just because you didn't move in that direction. Luckily, that's not a big mistake, right? It's like, it's easily fixable. You just hop in the practice tool a few times, get used to the damage, and see when you can pull it out, and it's fine.
For sure.
Okay, so 4 seconds behind here. This is good.
I probably should have been walking the other way.
Off of the work plan. So your Q's been delayed by, I think, 3 seconds already.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I walked too far back here, because I could have set up 2 Q's over here.
Let's see. It looks like you're a bit slow. Like, I would be about here right now, finishing this off with an auto and queuing onto this camp.
Right.
Okay. And then I actually wouldn't even W there. Like, the same thing happens when you have E. You can use the E on the red, but then it's not up for Krugs, right? So because you can just kind of kite it over, I saved mine so I could immediately EW this camp.
Yeah. That's more efficient for sure.
Yeah, unless you're planning to immediately break off after red, right? To go gank a lane, then it's fine. But if you see this lane state and you're like, okay, I can't gank, he's way too pushed in, I'm going to Krugs, then I think using this W is a little bit weird because you don't get the EW here. Okay.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
And then also remember this represents health loss, right? The longer you're stuck fighting camps.
Right.
Okay. So this is fine.
Your turret has been destroyed.
I think this part was fine. And then here, I wouldn't even be waiting here. I think you finished with autos, just leave, and then Q as you're leaving.
Okay.
Do you know how patience works on camps like Krugs?
I want to say I do, but I don't think I do.
Okay, so the thing with Krugs is everything has the same patience bar, right? The thing with Krugs is, let me just reset this real quick. It doesn't matter how low the patience is when you kill it. The post-split ones are gonna have fresh patience bars. So if I kill this resets. These are still gonna be here, right?
Okay.
So each time they split, they'll have fresh patience bars, and it takes about 4 seconds to run out of patience if it's ticking from full to 0. So I think you didn't need to wait here and like finish them off with autos. You could have just left because you're still in radius here. This is roughly the edge of the radius, and you have 2 seconds left on your Q. So if you just left and queued as soon as it was up, these guys were gonna die on the fadeaway. Might take a little bit of practice and practice tool to get used to it, to see what I'm saying, but like this is a problem. You're arriving fairly late.
Right.
I would also practice along the other paths just to make sure you're comfortable with them. So for example, let's do the reverse clear, right?
Okay.
Minions have spawned.
It's gonna be a 10-10 start, for example. So let's do the Red-blue-gromp path and check the timer.
I told you to stand back.
Yeah, I don't think I'd smite this just because of the HP it has left. Smite would be a bit of a waste. Different Taliyah players do this approach in different ways. I tend to just queue over the wall, personally.
Yeah.
And then throw an E. Oh, that was kind of sloppy. It's okay.
Distance means so little. Family means so much.
I can't seem to work around.
Not on that skin, no, it's difficult.
Oh, push the wrong way. Fuck, I haven't hit this champ for a minute. This will probably just die to autos.
I know all of this will lead
Okay.
me home someday.
So entering at about 12 minutes to center of river from a 10-10 start. So if you add 20, I think that's reaching at about 12:20. I mean, sorry, 3:20, right to the center of river, and about here, here would be 3:15. This is saving a smite full HP with a pot left leashless, right? So especially if you have a leash, you'd be here roughly 3:15, full HP, probably both pots, right? And the smite up for scuttle. So this would be the path that I would have taken this game, because you can potentially break off after Gromp if something's happening here and you can come over, and if not, you can just reverse clear, right? And just be here right on time. So you can see with these clears, like, as long as you practice it and you're on time, they're all viable Taliyah paths. They'll all reach river by scuttle spawn with a smite with full HP, right? So you're as long as you practice them, you should be flexible in what you pick, and you can just pick based on the game state instead of kind of running the same path every game.
Okay.